My name is Autumn. I want to start talking about my grief journey. I've dealt with grief for the vast majority of my life, not just with death, but also grieving like the loss of innocence through trauma and grieving the person that I thought I was prior to trauma. And I began my healing journey in 2021 and really began to ramp it up in 2022 when I reconnected to my spirit and I started getting more into my spirituality. But then I lost my mother to murder in that same year. And I continued to work on healing other aspects of my life while putting the grief of losing my mother aside. And more recently in my life, 2024, I spent the vast majority of the year focusing on healing, but I still didn't fully process the grief surrounding my mom's death. And over the last couple of months, particularly the last couple of weeks and the last week in general, I have really started to realize how much I have neglected my feelings regarding that loss and the trauma surrounding it. And I have put a lot of responsibility on people in my life that I care about and that I love to understand what I'm going through without properly explaining what I'm going through and without them ever having the experience themselves, which is completely unfair to expect someone that has never been through what I'm going through to fully understand and to feel the emotions that I'm feeling. Grief is a very deep personal journey for each of us. It's anguish after loss. And a lot of people don't talk about this, but grief isn't just losing people. So that's some of the hardest grief that we experience in our life. But it's so much more than death. It's also trauma. Anything that you've been through that causes a drastic change in you or in your life can cause grief. Losing a pet, grieving your innocence after something awful happening in childhood, changes in your physical health, such as an assault that nearly leaves you paralyzed, like what I went through. Any kind of major life change has the potential to cause grief. And I've been guilty of developing some unhealthy coping mechanisms and lashing out at people and isolating myself due to my grief. And I want to start sharing my journey, one, because I need support and I need to find communities that understand. But two, I also hope that by me being vulnerable in my own journey and my own experiences and what I'm learning throughout the process, I might be able to help others get through their grief as well. Before I dive too deeply into what has been going on in my own personal journey, I want to talk about what grief even is. Grief comes in 5 different stages. The first stage is the stage of denial. This is the stage where you are refusing to accept that this is your reality, the new reality that you are in. The next stage is anger. And anger often manifests in outbursts towards people you love, irrational responses, volatile emotions, anger towards yourself, making mean comments towards yourself, All of this is a part of the grieving process, and it's completely normal. It doesn't make it okay or healthy, but it's completely normal to experience all of that. And I've been experiencing a lot of that in my life recently. Then we have bargaining. Bargaining is when you're attempting to negotiate yourself out of your feelings. You might lie to yourself in order to make things better than they actually are, neglecting how you truly feel about the situation, neglecting sitting with the heavier emotions. Another stage is depression. During this stage, I know a lot of you have probably experienced depression at least once in your life. During this stage, you may feel hopeless about life. It may be difficult for you to feel like you matter in this world or that your life matters. It might be hard to envision a brighter future for yourself, and you may feel like your whole life is going to be consumed by darkness. I have also been dealing with this stage a lot recently. At the end of it all comes acceptance. It's where you finally feel hopeful about your life again, and you're ready to move forward. You realize that there are lessons and wisdom within what you're going through, and you're ready to move forward with this new perspective and this new chapter on life. When it comes to these stages, none of them are linear, and they don't have to go in order. You can filter through different stages over and over again. There is no time limit for how long it may take. It could take weeks, depending on if it's not so severe. It could take months. It could take years. I've been struggling with my grief for years. A lot of it I have moved past, but some of the harder things, such as losing my mom, it still feels really fresh, even 2.5 years later. And it also doesn't help that, in my situation, it's still ongoing. Grief can manifest in a lot of different ways. We are more familiar with the mental health side effects of grief. You may feel sad. You may be tearful and cry a lot. I know I sure do. You may isolate yourself. I've been isolating myself quite a bit. You may have anger, guilt. You may blame yourself for what happened, even if there's no possible way that it was your fault or that there was anything that you could have done to control it or to change it. You may have confusion about your life and disorientation about your trajectory. You may feel completely lost and like you don't know how to move forward. You might feel hopeless, like nothing's ever going to be the same, which it won't, but you feel like nothing's going to get better. All of this is completely normal. It doesn't make it easy, but these are all really common, and they can lead to unhealthy coping mechanisms. Grief can also have a lot of physical side effects, which people don't talk about as often. It can cause joint pain and body aches. It can cause headaches, muscle tension. It can contribute to nausea, loss of appetite, vomiting, insomnia, sleep disturbances like nightmares. It can even cause oversleeping, inflammation, lowered immunity, fatigue. It could also affect your heart and cause cardiovascular problems and increase your risk for heart attack or stroke. It's very hard, not just on your mind, but it's really hard on your body as well. It's overall a complete shock to your nervous system, and it's extremely difficult to get through some days, and you just have to take it one day at a time. And some days are going to be a lot better than others. Some days are really hard. I can attest to that. Some days are very hard. I apologize. Coping can be a very long process. And the most important part of coping is remembering self-love, remembering to get sleep, to eat healthy, get exercise, practice self-care routines, do something nice for yourself, and make yourself feel loved. Having a support system is also extremely important during this process. But I want to stress the importance of having the correct support system for what you are going through. Like I said towards the beginning of the video, I have put a lot of responsibility and weight on people that cannot comprehend what I am going through, and it only exacerbated the way I felt and led me to push even more people that I loved out of my life. And I created more suffering through my suffering by not having the correct support system. Share with others how you feel. Don't bottle things up, because that is what causes things to fester. Seek professional help if you need to. If it is interfering with your life, or if it is not getting better after 6 months, please seek help. I'm finally starting a support group tomorrow. I'm a little nervous about it because it's Christian faith-based, and I'm not exactly a Christian, but we'll see how it goes. I've been struggling to find a support system that feels right, so I've even started making my own support systems and building community groups. Express yourself. Get your feelings out however you can. Journal, sing, write stories, tell stories, cry. I do a lot of journaling personally. I also draw and paint on occasion. I sing a lot in the car, and I cry while I sing all the time. Crying's very healthy, and since my mom died, particularly over the last 5 months or so, there have been a lot of tears around that as I am getting deeper into the harder feelings surrounding my grief. Remember to accept your feelings. It's okay that you feel sad. It's okay to feel angry. Don't take it out on others, but it's okay to have those emotions. They're completely normal. They're a part of the process, and you're not a burden for having them. And there's nothing wrong with you for having them. You're not broken. You're just hurt and in pain. Be patient with yourself, because it takes time. As I said, it's not linear, and you can't rush your healing. When you try to rush your healing, that's when things go wrong. That's what's happened in my life. I'm speaking from personal experience on that one. And really, don't isolate yourself. That's been my biggest problem. I've isolated myself a lot. I've pushed away a lot of people I love. Especially recently, I finally had a support system that genuinely supported me, and I allowed my grief to consume me. And that's not right. I put way too much weight and responsibility on that person, and now I am alone in what I'm going through. Seek help, which is what I'm doing. I'm trying to get help as I process. I'm trying to get through this and become a better person for it. I can't change my behaviors of what I have done while I have been grieving. All I can do is acknowledge them and hold myself accountable. It's been a really hard process, and it's going to continue to be a really hard process, but there's wisdom to be found within suffering. Something that's actually really been helping me is this book that I've been reading. It was actually given to me by that person that I pushed away. I wish I would have read it sooner, but time is fleeting. It's called After the Darkest Hour: How Suffering Begins the Journey to Wisdom. It's by Kathleen A. Brahoni, PhD. And it's all about how we can transform tough experiences into something more meaningful in our lives. And that's something that I have been trying to figure out how to do for the last year of my life as I've been going through my healing journey. But I got distracted by a lot of things, and I neglected actually healing the grief before doing that. So now I'm at that point where I am working to heal it, and I'm starting to have ideas about how I can use what happened to me to transform my life. There are better days ahead. I've been really pessimistic recently, and I've been a very cold person, and I haven't been living up to my highest potential, and I recognize that, and I'm ready to start changing that, and I'm ready to get through this. And I just want anybody out there that is also suffering with grief to know that you are not alone in what you're experiencing, and that your feelings and your story matter. And please reach out if you need help. You are not alone. You are loved. You are worthy. You can join my support group on Facebook, Tragic to Magic with the Electric Honey Pot. I'd love to have you over there. I will include a link down in the description. I am also going to be writing articles on medium.com. If you have a Medium membership, I will also post my link down in the bottom. I also have a new Discord channel that I started to build my own support group where we can be vulnerable and talk about what we're grieving, whether it's, trauma from throughout our lives, the loss of a loved one, disabilities, or chronic illness, or spiritual awakening process. I know that's something I've been having a hard time with as well. I feel really alienated living in a Christian community and having spiritual beliefs that don't align with that. It's one reason why I'm a little nervous about this support group, but it's okay. So yeah, I have that Discord server as well if you would like to join over there and have a conversation. Human connection is very important, and I'm just trying to build a community of love. That way we can all get through this together. Thanks for watching.